For not having read a book in at least a year, it takes quite a bit to read a book back to back, Saturday and Sunday, to completion. I have read the first book, The Riddle Master of Head, in a three-part series, and now I just got done reading the second book, Heir of Sea and Fire, Patricia A. McKillop. It's about 200 pages, and it picks off not where the last book picked off, the biggest cliffhanger on the entire face of the earth, and I freaking called it. We jumped to another character. We jumped away from the main character and I knew it, but it was still, I, God, I can't put it down. This is just becoming one of my favorite little mini, like 3-part series so far. I love the characters. I love the mission, the quest. I love the lore. Just how it dabbles into the past of 1,000 years. Um, just the current band of characters, the different houses all coming together. Kind of reminds me of, like, I don't want to say Game of Thrones. I can't compare it to Game of Thrones, but just the different houses and how we go and meet the kings or queens or Morgul's, whatever, of these different the leaders of these different houses and how they help our main characters along the way to complete their quest. And we left off with Morgan, the main character from the last book, our main protagonist, a male protagonist, I should say. Um, Basically running into getting blindsided, but the entire last book was culminating into making this huge journey to get answers to his questions, for someone to answer his riddles, I guess, and culminated in, what the heck's the name of that place? Last Erland Star Mountain, which is where, like, I don't want to say God, but for sake of easiness, I'm just gonna say God, where God resides. Basically, he's like omnipotent and omniscient, whatever. What? Just make up a word. I don't know. Whatever. You understand. That's why I read these. That's why I need to get back into reading so I don't lose my addiction. Case in point, right there. But omnipotent, whatever. He sees a lot, right? And he's in charge of, like, he's like Mother Nature personified. He controls the land, who takes care of the land. That's like his main thing. Well, when our main character gets there, with the help of his trusted harpist, who's 1,000 years old or so, when he gets there, he's completely blindsided because the main the dude, Mother Nature, isn't who he thought it was. It was actually someone nefarious. And so that's where it left off. Like, holy cow, what the hell? I was hoping the next book would pick up back into it. Well, it didn't. Completely started with another main character. I know I'm repeating myself, but it was good. What happened to Morgan throughout that is one of, I hate to say it, it's just one of my favorite things. And I read it once in, like, a Terry Goodkind book. Um, for better or worse. Berserk. There's just, I love when characters just face. Oh God, I don't even know how to say it without. I don't know how to say it without sounding morbid, but just utter peril. Like, they're put into these circumstances of dread, torture, basically. Um, a lot of manga or Japanese, Thorfinn. What? Not vagabond. He becomes a farmer, a slave. There's just different mediums where they become, like, they just suffer, and it just builds their character. It just makes them it just changes him unbelievably into something more genuine or just more filled with more hatred or a vendetta or revenge or for the positive. And in this case, it set our main character on a course of just all he could see was bloody revenge. But that was in the foreground, background. Foreground is forward. That was in the background. The foreground was our main character. I to this day, okay, don't know how to pronounce her name. I mean, let me see if I can find it. Red Radale. Radale? Radale. I've said it 40 different ways throughout the course of reading this book. It's Raederle. Radale. Why on God's green earth did Patricia give such a freaking impossible name to pronounce? And her brother Doc, Duac. Just some of these. That was like the hardest. I mean, it's for a main character to have such an awful name. Ray Daryl. I don't know. I give up. And there's nothing in the back. I don't think that says actually how to pronounce it. Daughter of Sion and Matham. Ray Daryl. Whatever. Okay, I'm cutting out of time. I'm cutting into time here. Needless to say, this book was it was kind of more a copy of the first one of anything. It's basically Morgan had his journey all the way to the mountain, Star Mountain, whatever it was called, in the first book. Met his maker. What happened to him? Second book takes place like a year afterwards. Morgan has vanished. He's lost the land right. Um, he can't. It's the land rights have been passed down to his brother, so everyone knows something is going on because that only happens when someone dies. So we're under the impression that Morgan has died for he's dead for 5 days now, and what happened in that long stretch of time, that year till now. Well, questions are, everyone's got questions. Um, it just so happens that then our main character, female protagonist, woman protagonist, Riddle, um, kind of, she was the princess in the tower. She was the Fiona waiting on Prince Charming, waiting on Morgan to come and get her. Well, now that Morgan is dead, what are they? She decides to, um, things aren't adding up. So I guess her father goes and he's gonna figure out questions. He's gonna try to get some answers to these questions of how can a prince die? So meanwhile, Riddle goes and travels, meets up, with a band of people, and she basically is gonna go to the same place that Morgan went to try to find out answers. Lo and behold, she's kind of discovering herself along the way, who she is, who her forefathers were, and where she gets this unspoken power from. And so it's kind of like very, very similar lens as the first book, but just kind of more her quest is why is Morgan gone? Is he dead? Where did he go? Who am I? And it ended. I love the ending of this book. Spoilers, but this book ended with both of them coming together, and the romantic in my heart is like just I love when this happens. Is they go on these long quests. Both the male protagonist has been just tortured for a year. It's been grueling. He's been put through so much pain and suffering. She has been just so odd, wondering where he's at. She's gone through hurdles herself with a band of other people along the way, and discovered her powers and who she is, and been hurt and been scared, and just developed this love for someone she's barely known, and then wants to protect him because of what he's been through. And now at the end, they come together and promise to never separate again and tackle the world together. Now, in the third book, they're going to try to figure out, hopefully, answers to all these riddles, and why the world is coming to an end. I guess sort of why the darkness is starting to rise, and the voices of the past are starting to come um and make noise. And it's just it there was a lot of cool stuff in here. I really like this book. I really like the last book. And for what a book in the 1978, I think, is when at least this book was um someone like cut out a freaking strip in this book. 19 copyrighted 1977. So I just love this old school fantasy. It's just a trip. It's just so much fun in the journey, and highly recommend it. And I don't know when I'm gonna be able to get to the third one, but I'm gonna have to chip away at it this weekend because I can't wait to read it. And yeah, those are my thoughts on it. Till next time.